Alright, for this third and probably final part of this walk, I'm just going to start out at the chapel now that I have my hands nice and warmed up. Because I'm wearing gloves, but they're the kind of gloves that are fingerless, so that I can work tools and electronics a bit better, like this camera. So the tips of my fingers can get quite cold. There's a closer look at those little ice cylinders that hold candles, and you can see the little candle on the inside. That's kind of how all of them are. They're all lit up, as I said. We'll just get one final look at the chapel before we move on. And there we go. Now, this is going into the center of town. It's not a big town by any means. It doesn't really have any stores or anything, but it's more or less a residential town than anything. But at one point, back in the 1800s, early 1900s, there were a few more community sort of things. Like that green building over there used to be the general store. And I believe that more or less down the road there used to be the school. The only truly functional community building that still functions as it is the community hall and the chapel, as we have been to before. Everything else I'm not entirely sure, but I believe that everything else is just housing that's been converted from something else from a long time ago. But anyway, here is the culvert, which the river, all the way from where we began, ends up. It ends up in this giant, deep culvert that is extremely cold in the summertime. So again, I cannot imagine how cold it would be at this time of year, and it leads on even deeper down into the woods. So I've never been any farther down the river than that. That's typically where I stop, and then I just go back. I like walking down the river. It's kind of fun to slosh through the water and have your feet on the rocks. There's a little picnic area where you can have your kids on the swing set, slide too, if you can see that. Of course, a few picnic tables. There's the community hall from the front. And this is Town Square. Yet another little intersection that comes from three ways. And I guess we can't really go into the community hall since the entrance is blocked by a tree. I have never heard of an entrance to a building being blocked by a tree. But I suppose that's alright. At least I wanted to go into the chapel, and we got to go into that, so that's fine by me. Got to do at least one thing today. Every July there's what's known as Fun Day, and this is kind of where the central fairground is, if you will, where all the eating takes place, and there's the cooking that goes on over in that little area, and then games are played. out in the street, because there's hardly any traffic at all. So if there is any cars that come by, you just kind of get out of the way, and then we go back to what we did before. This right here is just the bulletin board of what's going on. And that right there was the school that I was talking about. You can kind of see the little bell tower for calling all the people to class. That's kind of what the schoolhouse was. And there are more houses down the way, but we only have time for going here and going back, so I think this is just the end of our walk. And before we head back, there is a zoomed in view of where the house is that I am going to go back to. So, I hope this has been a very good walk. I know it's been good for me. And I guess I'll see you all later.